All right, so I want to share a story with you about this house that I bought in the situation. So I was standing in the front yard of this large historic home. It was a bright summer morning. I remember it had been vacant. The house had been vacant for many years and needed tons of repairs. And it was me, the daughter of the owner, and she was likely in her 50s. We were making small talk, just standing there in the front yard waiting for her dad to arrive and show up at this house so that we could, I could make it offer, we could put it under contract. And the dad comes, this truck comes barreling down the road. And mind you, this is like, I think 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like 8 a.m. The truck comes barreling down the road. It literally jumps the curb into the front yard and comes to a screeching halt, 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 halt. And the guy gets out, he opens his door and he gets out and like a beer can falls out. I'm like, wow, this is pretty crazy. But I had felt like I kind of knew this guy because I'd been talking to him for 8 years, 8 freaking years. I was following up with him to buy his house. And for the longest time, he would just tell me, well, my daughter lives there. My daughter doesn't want to sell it. My daughter doesn't want to sell it. And so the fact that his daughter was there this morning and she was waiting for him and ready to do this was awesome. And it only took 8 years, right? Like if every deal we ever did took 8 years, there would be probably nobody in this business, right? But it just goes to show you not giving up on following up with somebody. Now, obviously, I did not contact them every week. I didn't contact them every month. Sometimes I skipped a year or two before I made contact, but I just stayed in touch with them. So whenever the time was right for them and the motivation was there for them, they contacted me. So this is really cool. And so I bought that house and I wholesaled it. And I think that was like a $50,000 wholesale. And they went on to fix it up and sell it for way more, which I was kicking myself when I saw how much they finally ended up selling it for. But it was a beautiful historic home. But anyway, that took 8 years and it was a follow-up. And yeah, so it just shows you the importance of that. And that's going to go into this episode a little bit, what I wanted to share with you about this business and some of the perceived problems that we have in this real estate investing business, whether you're wholesaling, house flipping, whatever you're doing, rentals, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter what you're doing, owner financing. This is all going to be pretty relevant. I'm also really excited to share with you guys about this launch of our new software that's going to help you do the same thing with the follow-up like I talked about, like getting those deals. That's going to help you stay on top of all that stuff so that you do follow up and you get those deals and stop leaving money on the table. But more on that, I'll share with that a little bit more about that later in the episode. But first, like I said, I was thinking about pivotal moments in the growth of my own house flipping business and the simple ideas that caused drastic improvements to how many deals we were doing and how we operated as a company in general. And just like the realization that if I only followed up consistently, I could more than double my deals, because that's really what happened. And just really quick, whenever I did the book Flipping Houses Exposed, that covered 34 weeks in my business, way back when. I don't know, that's probably been a good almost 10 years ago that I did that. But the thing that it showed was, I think it was 34 weeks generated 495 leads, 495 leads. And then only did like 11 or 13 deals from those 495 leads. And the biggest issue with why there weren't that many deals from that many leads was because of what happened after I got the leads and after I made an offer and all that kind of stuff. It was all the things that happened outside of getting the lead and making an offer that caused that number to be as low as it was. Really, if done properly, that many leads could have generated 40 or 50 deals. And if we're doing rehabs, what is that? That could be $30,000+, right? If you're doing wholesales, could be 10 to 20 or whatever $1,000 per deal. That's an insane amount of money. I don't even want to think about it because it's kind of depressing. So anyway, it's like that realization and those improvements in the business that allow you to get from doing just 11 deals off of 495 leads to doing like 40 or 50 deals from the same amount of leads, that just changes everything for the business. And I want to talk about some of that in this episode. So, I've come to realize that these problems that we perceive and we work too hard at trying to alleviate the symptoms of these problems while the true source of those problems is ignored. And obviously that doesn't work. We want to get to what the real situation is. So what are these perceived problems, right? What are these things that most of us are dealing with or have dealt with in the past, that maybe sometimes come up again and again? And probably the biggest one is not enough leads. I think that's probably echoed by everybody that's trying to do anything, right? Like you feel like I just need more leads. I need more leads. And I would do better in this business if I had more leads. I would do more deals. I'd be able to grow a team. I'd be able to do what I want to do. But I think that it's more still of a perceived problem for most people. I don't think that that's the actual problem. And then the next one, though, we'll come back to that in just a minute. The next one is being too busy. The perceived problem is just too busy, don't have enough time to make adjustments or really, figure out what's going on in the business and have an objective look at what you're doing in your business, right? The next one is too much competition. Oh, that one right now is a big one, right? Too much competition. But that was echoed back. The only time I think that anybody wasn't saying that a whole lot, and there probably still were some people saying it, was after the crash back in 2008, 2009. Maybe less people were saying that, but I'm sure there were still people saying there was too much competition, right? And wondering why in my market is this happening? But anyway, another one is feast and famine. Now, if you're generating leads, you're doing deals, and you're wearing all the hats in your business, you're doing everything. You're having to do the marketing, you're having to take the calls, go to the appointments, put it under contract, get the contractor lined up, rehab the house, put it on the market. There's a lot of different things to do. So what ends up happening, right? Feast or famine happens. You are doing marketing, you're generating leads, you're getting some deals under contract. Then you're having to focus on working on those rehabs or wholesaling the house or do whatever. It's taking your time away from continuing marketing. So you don't really continue the marketing. And so what happens, right? You get some deals, you work on those, and then you've got to start over again on trying to get the marketing going again to get more deals. And so you end up with this sine wave of getting deals and not having anything, right? Like having to do that. And it gets old pretty quick. So if you've not experienced that much and you're getting started, know that that's probably going to happen for you for a little bit while you're trying to do everything. The next one maybe goes along with the same as being too busy, but just being overwhelmed, right? Just feeling like there's just too much to do and you just can't get your head above water. And, you can't get the volume that you need to support a team. So that's the next perceived problem, right? Like not being able to get enough deals to be able to support a team. And then like leaving money on the table because you're not being able to do the follow-up properly, not being consistent with follow-up. You're leaving money on the table. And, I think this all like leads to a lot of us having this feeling of, feeling like we're entry level, even after years of being in the business. I've got a good friend who just told me recently he felt like that. And the guy's kicking butt. And I think it's what he was doing. He had done either 10 or 20 deals in the last year, and it's pretty incredible. But he said he still felt like he was entry level. And that was interesting to me. So I've been thinking a lot about all of this stuff, and it goes into, a lot of the software that we're launching very soon, what that entails, because it's looking at what are the issues and how do we overcome these things. So the first one, though, not enough leads, that one was a really big one for us for a long, many years, like feeling like there wasn't enough leads. We just needed to get more leads, right? That would solve everything. If we just took on another marketing channel, we could get more leads, we could grow our business, do more deals, and everything would just be great. And obviously this is a problem for almost all investors, or at least a perceived problem, right? And that's why every single guru out there is pumping our inboxes full of these hot new lead sources, for the next month. There's always a new one that comes out and says, this is a new thing, nobody's doing it, and you can generate, 50% more leads, just do this. That's the thing, because that's the thing the majority of people feel like they need, right? So that's what everybody's being sold. And it gets old pretty freaking quick. And I really think that just jumping on that next trend all the time is endlessly chasing a moving target, right? This is this is why I felt for so many years I was on this hamster wheel, just like spinning away, huffing and puffing, out of breath. But I couldn't stop, right? If I stopped, I was gonna like tumble out of the thing and hit my head, right? And yeah, I've been there. I know what it's like, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. But see, I want to get into fixing all these and like say what I believe is the right thing to do. And you might be saying, well, what is it? What is the thing? And you might know it maybe, but really, focusing on one marketing channel, right? The thing that's maybe not that sexy, like direct mail, right? Or online, right? You're going to do pay-per-click, or you're going to do SEO. It's like focusing on one of those and becoming the best at it. It takes time to build that momentum, and it takes time to do it, but that's going to pay off. The biggest investors that I know that are doing well and have deal consistency are doing that, right? It's not very sexy, but they did the thing they needed to do, and then they don't worry about it, and they're not wasting time having to learn and try out and test all these different new things that come out all the time. And so just think about how easy things can be when you're not having to chase something new all the damn time. All right. And let's talk about what life is like when we're doing everything ourselves, right? When we're trying to get this deal consistency, I think is what we're after, right? Not the feast and famine, not needing more leads. We need to be at a point where we've got things cruising along pretty good, where we feel comfortable about having our business dialed in enough to know that we're not going to starve 4 months from now, right? We're not going to, drop off the deep end, off the cliff, and wonder what happened. Like we get to this deal consistency. And because I know what it's like to go on appointments and do everything in my business, take calls, go on appointments when I'd rather be with my family, I'd rather be doing something else, because you're having to do it all the time, especially when, the possibility of losing a deal is high. It's Friday evening at 6 o'clock and you're wanting to relax, right? And then you get that call for this hot deal, some motivated seller, and you got to go look at it. And it's like, oh man, like that sucks. That really does suck. And it'd be nice to be at a point where that wasn't the case, where it didn't have to be you necessarily. And, at the same time, being at the end of the day and feeling like you didn't make forward progress in your business, you just continued what was already going on. Like you're just keeping it all going. And that's the busyness of every day, is just keeping it all going, but not feeling like there's some sort of achievement or progress to your aim or to your goal, right? That's what keeps us fired up. And when we don't have that, it sucks, and it makes it kind of miserable after a while. And enough years of doing that, and that's burnout time, right? That's no fun time. That's where you're like questioning whether you even want to be in this business anymore. And I think a lot of it just has to do with not progressing, right? Getting out of the comfort zone and doing those things, setting up your company to be where you can move yourself away from it. Like I said, I wasn't interested in being the investor that's doing 200 deals a year. I don't think that's necessary to have a beautiful business that works for you instead of you working for it and gives you the time to really work on your business and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that that's necessary. I think a business that's doing profitable deals and is doing, like anywhere from 20 to 40 even deals a year can be a really nice business for most people. And you can do other investments over time from there. But, when you're doing all that stuff yourself, and you're feeling like you're having to do stuff when you don't want to do it, and then you see people post about their awesome team and all the free time that they have on Instagram or on Facebook, and you kind of admire that, but secretly, if we're honest, secretly you hate them at the same time. I've been there. That still happens. And we know that we're comparing our worst to their best is what they're posting and all that kind of stuff, but it still sucks, right? Like that whole thing of seeing that kind of stuff. And it's not like, their life is perfect either, but like those moments where it's almost like your own self telling yourself, hey, we probably should change things up and make some forward progress here. So all that kind of good stuff. And in our business, we got to the point where we were able to do that. And it was amazing. It really was nice to have the ability to do the same thing, to be able to have, the time to work on other things and working on the software. I started doing all the software stuff and looking at getting into other investments and things like that. That's a really nice place to be. And I really want that for you too. And I know that you have what it takes to understand what's going on in your business and making the necessary changes to go from juggling everything to having the time to be strategic and in control. And I know it can feel like there's no energy at the end of the day to focus on making changes. Hell, I was worried that if I stopped for a minute, everything would collapse, right? That, like I said, about falling off that hamster wheel. And, this gets into addressing the real problems. How do you move from that to being in a place where you are working on your business? And it's moving away from the perceived problems we talked about to the real problems, the underlying problems that generate all those perceived problems, right? So we can get to the core of it. That's what we want to do to make the most progress, have the best chance of getting our business in the place it needs to be so that we can have it be the business that we want it to be. And so those real problems I've listed as not converting enough leads, right? It's the conversion of the leads. It's not necessarily getting the leads. It's what you're doing once you get the leads. Like I alluded to earlier, from the 495 leads that only became 11 deals way back when. The next one is not generating good leads. Like there's a difference in lead quality. The easiest example is to say a huge direct mail campaign that goes to like absentee owners that have no other signs of possibly being motivated versus pay-per-click campaign, Google ads. People are searching how to sell my house yesterday in San Antonio, and they come to your website. If you get a call from somebody that received the absentee owner one, and the house is in great shape, they're getting good rent for it, but they're like, I wonder what this person could give me for this place. I don't know. Let's see, the market's hot. Maybe I'll get a great deal. And then, but to you, that's not what you want. It's like this person is not motivated, right? It's not like a quality lead is somebody that's like, hey, I need an offer. I'm looking for somebody to take this problem off of my hands or take this house off my hands to solve this problem that I need to be done with. Good leads versus mediocre versus crap leads, right? There's a difference. And when we're looking at our business, and I'll get to the next, I tend to jump around here. So not generating enough good leads, and I'll get into that just a little bit. And then the next one is not dominating a channel and building the trust and credibility. So you spread too thin, throwing money away, chasing all these new marketing ideas. I talked about that just a minute ago. The people that dominate a channel, dominate direct mail or dominate probates or dominate online, being pay-per-click, SEO, or Facebook, not saying I'm going to do all those things from the beginning, but I'm going to pick one that I kind of enjoy or I'm interested in maybe, if that's possible, and then kind of focus on it, right? I'm going to nail it and I'm going to grow it. I'm not going to just put that and say, I'm doing this. I'm not really measuring it. I'm not really seeing what's happening with it. I just know that I put that much in and I made this many leads. So I'll just keep dumping money in it. There's a honing of the craft, right? Like in this business, like in most businesses, it's all about the leads coming in. And so if you take the time to really hone the craft and start there, then, those marketing dollars are going to provide a bigger return in good leads, right? And if you're looking at the numbers and you're really looking at what happens once you get the lead and how many of those become an appointment, how many of those become an offer that you make and get accepted, you can start seeing which channels, and this should be almost common sense and obvious in a little bit of a way, like I talked about a moment ago, absentee owner direct mail list versus somebody looking for you online to buy their house. You can mostly get an idea across these channels which ones are going to be the more motivated sellers, right? Probate's a good one. That's a really good one. Code compliance lists, a lot of times, those people are under some pressure, from the city to do something a lot of times. Burn houses, there's just all kinds of different ones where the motivation is going to be a lot higher than some big spray and pray like a campaign to do that. So picking one or two of those and really, just deciding, committing to being the best at it. And the next one is a really big one that goes along with that as well. It's no systems in place so that no leads slip through the cracks. This gets into the follow-up for 8 years to buy that house, that netted that huge wholesale profit, and a good story of a guy, jumping the curb up to the front yard in this nice neighborhood in his beat up truck, and and having all that. But I mean, the deal was really what it was all about, and having systems in place to make sure that different things are happening in your business that are supposed to be happening, and you see where things are falling apart. It might not be so obvious. You could be paying a lot of money for some different marketing campaigns, and you're getting a ton of leads from one of them. So you're like, well, I'm going to put more money. I'm going to keep doing that because look at all these leads I'm getting. But if you're not analyzing how many of those actually became a deal, you could be throwing money at the wrong lead source, right? Because you could have a lead source that doesn't generate as many, but 1 out of 2 of the leads from this other source are actually becoming deals. It could be very obvious based on the numbers where your money and focus needs to go. And so stuff like that is next level. That's where it's taking your business to this next level so that you can, and that's measuring and adjusting, right? And so you have to have a mechanism for being able to do that. And then a routine to do it, because I don't know about you, but I've done it a million times where I've set out to plan and set up this process that I'm going to follow, and I'm going to make my business perfect. And I'll do it for 1 or 2 weeks, and then I get busy again on that hamster wheel, and I forget all about it. Like, I'm just burned out. I'm like, you know what? I don't even have time. I just need to do this. I got to take care of this because I want to get home to my family afterwards, and I want to play with my kids. And, you skip the part that's going to give you the more time to be able to do that and the freedom to do that because of the burnout, right? And so that's where we need to focus. So those are the real problems: not having systems, measuring, adjusting so that you can, dominate a channel, generate good leads that are going to be more likely to be good deals, and, converting, actually being able to convert the leads that do come in because you're doing things like making sure that you're answering your phone when somebody calls, right? So there's that. Those are the real problems. See, and the big message here is perceived problems versus real problems, like we talked about, and taking your business to the next level, making it to the point where you can get off the hamster wheel, commit to reorganizing your business and measure, right? So that you can manage the actual business, so that you can move into working on that business and having more time to do that. And if you're already generating leads and doing deals, I want to congratulate you, and you should pat yourself on the back for that, because most investors getting into real estate investing, wanting to do this business, just don't even get to that point. So if you have, take a moment and just celebrate the fact that you've even done that, because it is freaking huge. Because once you're there, this other stuff that I've been talking about really is not that difficult once you start doing it. You've already made it past the really hard part of getting and breaking into this industry, into the business. So, awesome for you. That's the most difficult part. So seriously, great work. And now, though, it's time to elevate your game. It's time to get into that part of moving forward on it and analyze your business to improve it incrementally, right? We're not going to change things overnight, and we don't want to have those expectations, because that's what leads to giving up pretty quickly too. So that is to get you to the point where the business is truly working for you instead of the other way around, right? Instead of always working in the business, working on it. So what I want to invite you to is a webinar that I'll be doing. And that webinar is going to be the top 3 deal funnel fixes for smart scaling real estate investors. Snazzy title, right? I don't know if you didn't think so. I don't know, but that's the title. Top 3 deal funnel fixes for smart scaling real estate investors. This is where I'm going to break down the exact strategies proven to create deal consistency and predictability, so you can grow a team, right? So you can finally get some of that stuff off your plate and get to that point, like I talked about, where it's all about what we really all want is that deal consistency. right? Taking comfort in knowing that, the last 3 quarters have proven to be consistent enough to assume that the next quarter is going to be the same, right? And take a little bit of that stress off, and to be able to work more on your business. So in this webinar, some of the things that I'm going to be talking about is how to ensure that no leads slip through the cracks, so you can turn more leads into deals. I'm also going to be sharing the exact framework that's going to show you how smart scaling real estate investors set up their business to support bringing on VAs in a team. I know for a lot of people, they want to, right? They want to bring on the help. They don't want to be the lone wolf and doing everything, but they don't feel like the business is at a place where they can support the team, right? So what do you do? What the heck do you do if you aren't generating enough deals to pay an acquisitions person commission? How is that possible? If they've got to support a family and the number of deals that you're doing is not enough for them to have a livable commission to live off of, what are you going to do, right? So I'm going to talk about some of that. Talk about how to keep a pulse on your company so you instantly know where the ball's being dropped and where you're leaving money on the table. I'm also going to talk about the meeting structure top teams use to coordinate and scale confidently. And to register for this webinar, let me see, it's going to be, all right, I'm going to give you the URL first. It's Forefront CRM. So that kind of gives away the name of our new software here, but Forefront CRM, FOREFRONT CRM.com/webinar. All right, forefrontcrm.com/webinar. And the webinar is going to be on, I just changed the date, so I want to make sure I give you the right date and not, okay, Wednesday, May 19th. Okay, so if you're listening to this and it's already past May 19th, I'm probably going to be doing this repeatedly because I really want to get this out to more and more people. And so I'll probably be continuing this webinar. So even if it's after May 19th, go ahead and check that website, forefrontcrm.com/webinar, okay? Because I'll likely be doing this maybe every 2 weeks or something like that. But Wednesday, May 19th at 10 a.m. Central is when we're going to have this one. So if you would just pause this, or go and head over to forefrontcrm.com/webinar so that you can get your seat for that. And of course, during the webinar, we're going to be opening the doors to our new software and providing a special offer that's going to show you how you can take advantage of some of the things that are going to be really helpful for you to be able to do those top 3 deal funnel fixes so that you can get into a place of having more deal consistency. And I'm super excited about the software because it's been the evolution of the different platforms that we've built in the past, and the culmination of all that knowledge and usability. And it's really like, I guess the way I want to describe it is kind of like a digital whiteboard. And it's like where you have what you're working and where they're at, what stage of your workflow they are, and it's all visual. So you just got to check it out. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain over audio what that experience is going to be like, but you'll be able to take a look at it. You'll be able to get access on that day. We'll be opening the doors. So head over to forefrontcrm.com/webinar, and I hope to see you there on that webinar where we're going to really dig deep into a lot of what was covered today and give you the actual specific details, the step-by-step on how to actually do it. So thanks again for listening to the podcast, and head over to forefrontcrm.com/webinar. Looking forward to it.